Welcome back to the Strange and Uncanny. I'm your host, Dane. I want to start this off real quick, telling my buddy Riley happy birthday. Sorry, buddy. I was a little late. Anyhow, we're going to get into this. We're going to talk about some different things. We're going to talk about past lives. Which I've always been like reincarnation kind of. I got a few little stories I've put down to tell you guys. Some of the Mandela effects. Not all of them, because there's a lot of them I don't give a rat's ass about. But there's a few that I would go to my grave saying that they're full of shit. And we're going to touch on deja vu a little bit. Sorry about my voice. I've been sick, haven't felt good, sinus infection, all that kind of shit. So you're not going to be blessed with my angelic voice as usual. Just kidding. Anyhow, we're going to jump right into this. In 1998, there was a boy named James, if I pronounce this right, Leninger. At about the year 2000 or so, he started talking about him being a World War II soldier to his parents. Well, this boy was already highly advanced, really high IQ child. Even at that age, said he was putting together full sentences. But anyhow, he claimed to be the soldier in World War II. And his parents, kind of dismissed it at first. How parents would do. I'd do the same shit. But then he started getting into details about this person's life and everything else. So eventually, they did a little bit of research on it. And lo and behold, there was a gentleman that shared the exact same name, James Leninger, that in World War II went down. I don't know if their plane was hit or what. I believe it was, but he went down in a plane and was unalived. And somehow a 2-year-old knew all this stuff. Kind of weird to me. I mean, if anybody can explain that one, feel free in the comments, because I have no explanation for it whatsoever. There's also a child, and I watched a documentary on this, and they only give his first name, which I understand that. His name's Eric. He was an advanced child also. It is an advanced child. I believe he's still advanced. But he would have night terrors and stuff like this, had nightmares, a lot of trouble sleeping, as a child. And he always claimed that he had lived in Hollywood, and he knew an awful lot about Hollywood for somebody that's never been to Hollywood, never been exposed to anything around Hollywood, not even on TV. I mean, he was just a child. But anyhow, long story short, come to find out, he claimed to be, oh my God, what the hell is his name? Let me think for a second. James Co. Howard, I believe was his name. I don't know how the hell that's slipping me. But anyhow, he knew all sorts of detail, how the man was unalived, everything else. And there's no possible way this kid could have. I mean, there's no way he could have. And to claim to be the screenwriter for, probably one of the most famous movies, books, plays, whatever in history. I've probably seen it myself 20 times. But anyhow, long story short on that, I'm telling you right now, anybody that don't find some kind of relevance in this, I don't know how they couldn't. It weirds me out and I'm going to tell you right now, if a little kid come up to me, if one of my kids would have, and told me that they were a Civil War drummer boy or some bullshit like that, and I researched it and found out that's who they are, I would be freaked the fuck out. I mean, I would be totally freaked out. You know, I know this sounds horrible, but you think you know somebody, but that somebody you know is not that person. They were somebody else. That kind of scares the shit out of me. I mean, you could make a fucking horror movie out of that. But, I don't know. I find it extremely interesting. I'm going to jump around here a little bit. Not physically, because that's not going to happen. I was going to save Deja Vu for the end, but we're going to go ahead and pull that up right now. I guarantee you, anybody that watches this has experienced deja vu, and probably numerous times in their life. I have. I've had it. I've actually had deja vu. I remember, and I'm just going to tell you a real quick story. I'm not going to throw no names in here. But junior high school, I remember sitting in the library, and I don't know if I think I was reading a book or doing homework. That doesn't matter. But the detail I remember from it is one of the students come in, and he was actually a friend of mine. And I could hear him starting to argue with the librarian, which was a male. And they're arguing back and forth, and I felt like something click inside of me. And I was probably, I don't know, 13, something like that. And it was like I knew every word they were going to say verbatim. It was so weird. It was like I'd heard the whole fucking conversation before, exactly the way it was. And I've had it numerous times since then, but as a child, I think that was my weirdest. And I think it was because, I mean, I've been places that you've been before, that you know that you haven't, but you have. I've been through places that I could tell you where everything was, and I'd never been in that fucking town in my life. Ever been in it. And that's freaky too. But there's got to be a reason for it. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if anybody knows what it is. I mean, could it be we were here before, you know what I mean? Reincarnation. Do some of us get reincarnated? The rest of us don't. I don't know. I'm not sure. But what I do know is it's weird as hell. On that same topic, if any of you have any good deja vu stories or anything like that, drop them in the comments. I want to hear them. I go through all my stuff, and if there's anything, that I think's really, really awesome, I'll tell the story on here. I'll give you credit for it, all that. But feel free to comment any kind of deja vu stories. I love stuff like that. I had a guy I ran into recently that had some video, something in the sky, and it was pretty interesting, and he sent it to me. It's going to be on another episode, but I want to put it with more UFOs kind of stuff. But it is on my Instagram right now. So if you want to see the video, you can get on Instagram and see it on my dashboard or whatever the hell that thing's called. But I want to move on to Mandela effects. And I know that this seems like a weird combination here, but I don't think that it really is. Because Mandela effects, it's remembering something that they say is not true today. That it never happened, it was never drawn this way, it was never said this way, sang this way, what the hell, who knows. Anyhow, here's what I do know. I've read through probably every goddamn Mandela effect out there. And there's a lot of them I could give a fat frog's fucking ass about. I don't care. But there are a few that I would go to my grave and I would definitely tell you right now that they're the way I remember them. I'm one of them people that when I remember things, I can't remember shit that happened yesterday. But I can tell you what I was wearing when I was 2.5 years old in a store. You know what I mean? When I remember shit, it's in real detail. And one of these, it's kind of like that with me because, and I was going to save this one for last, but I'm just going to throw it out there. That stovetop stuffing. I can see it in my head, sitting in my living room in the 70s as a kid and seeing the commercial for this. I remember seeing it. It's kind of like the same thing with Shake and Bake. You don't fucking forget it. It was Stouffer's stovetop stuffing. That one drives me nuts. Another one drives me nuts is definitely got to be Fruit of the Loom. Nobody ever is going to convince me that they did not have a cornucopia. I don't give a shit. I don't care if there's no record of it. Whatever. The other one is Mickey Mouse's suspenders. I totally remember Mickey doing this shit with them, pulling them out and all that. And why the fuck would he have 2 buttons on the goddamn front of his shorts if he didn't have suspenders on? That'd be pretty fucking stupid looking. That's my opinion. Definitely got suspenders. I don't know what the hell they did to erase that bullshit or whatever. And the other one is definitely going to be the Monopoly Man. And the Monopoly Man's... There's nobody ever going to convince me that he got mixed up with Mr. Peanut. And I grew up with both of them. How the hell, just because Mr. Peanut wears a monocle, that has nothing to do with the Monopoly Man. Unless you're playing Monopoly eating peanuts. That's it. You know what I mean? That's a definite. But the reason I brought up the Mandela effects is could be a couple different things. They could be where we kind of cross over dimensional. Don't go too far with that one. They could be things that we've remembered from. There's a lot of theories out there on this, and I'm not going to jump into this one too much because it would be a whole different rabbit hole. But there's a lot of people that think that we actually ended, we're a simulation, it's kind of yada, 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 which I'm not dismissing any of it. I just don't have time to go into all that. But with that being said, is it something like that? Or is it a psyop? And what I mean by a psyop, and you've heard me talk about these before, is that them playing with us to see if they can change shit and you start to question yourself. And what I mean by that, say, and a couple of these things are historical. You got the Nelson Mandela, all that, which, I mean, I remember it the way it happened. But anyhow, if these were all historical events, what better way to be able to change them if you can convince people that they're just not remembering stuff right? It'd be a hell of a good way to rewrite a lot of things. And I'm not going to get too deep on that one either. I think you know what I mean on that. But it could be anything. But all I do know is I remember what I remember. And these things are exactly the way they say they weren't. If you have any Mandela effects, that trouble you as much as these trouble me, you can also leave a comment on that one. I'm not going to take a whole lot more of your time today. I haven't felt good. I felt good enough to do this today, so I'm hopping on here and doing it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Give me a phone call. Anything. Just kidding. That phone don't really work. I wish it did, but it doesn't. Until the next time, I'll catch you later.